Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly recap of what's going on in the world of sports, specifically in hockey, and specifically, literally, still in Canada, because we're still talking about Canadian teams. It's pretty exciting. I'm your co-host, Mick. You can find me on Twitter at ProfitMick, and I'm joined every episode by the big guy upstairs.
Boop, 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 boop. Grant on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. This is this is an historic moment in Canada Puck Podcast folklore. This is the most relevant podcast, the latest we have recorded in our history, because normally Canadian teams don't make it past the second round. And to have the Montreal Canadiens come this far, and for us to still have our theme going, prayers up to, I suppose it's Carey Price we owe this to. So thank you, Carey Price and Cole Caulfield, because he's been a part of this too.
That's it.
Everybody,
that's
you know what? It's been a whole team effort.
I mean, really, it is. It's a 20-person show out there on the ice. It's not just a one-man performance. Everyone's playing for each other. They've come together, you know, and like Grant said, this is a Stanley Cup preview show, and we've got Canadian content in it. This is it. This is what we do. This is literally what we do. Pretty exciting stuff.
But we don't do it well. But you're still here listening.
No, not at all. I mean, the production quality is just I'm gonna make annoying sounds for a while, and that is entertaining there. So, kind of Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup Finals versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Those two games wrapped up in 6 and 7 games respectively this week, which means no hockey this weekend. Starts on Monday, so we're gonna get you kind of primed for that. We got a little bit of gambling advice, maybe got a little bit of fantasy advice. We'll kind of run through that. I don't know if we want to talk about other topics. Maybe we just give the Montreal Canadiens the runway, as it were. They've earned it. It's kind of their show. And I've got a game for us at the end, so
damn, yes.
Pretty exciting.
Time to get embarrassed on the internet again.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So kind of a little bit of a rundown on this great Montreal Canadiens team. I think we can all agree with that, right? I mean, they tried to not make the playoffs by losing to the Calgary Flames going in. They were a huge underdog against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Heroically came back. Destroyed the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, we don't have to talk about the fact that, you know, Tavares's and the Jake Muzzins of the world and the Mark Scheifele's weren't even on the ice during these series. No, not at all. And then you go flash forward to this Vegas night series, and they decided, hey, we're the favorites. Fuck it. We'll juggle our goalies around. Who cares? I'm sure that won't screw with anyone's psyche or anything like that. Oh, what are all our stars? Yeah, they're not even going to play. We're not even going to pretend like they're a thing. Pretty exciting. And then they get to fight, because that's what they do. They're going to face the Tampa Bay Lightnings, potentially without their best player, one of the best players in the world with Kucherov. So, are they en route to a Stanley Cup? I mean, not that they, like, call it luck or a fluke or, you know, like maybe like, you know, kind of a big asterisk here. We don't have to put that on this label because the Montreal Canadiens, Carey Price more specifically, has a chance at Stanley Cup. So
it wasn't an ounce of sarcasm in anything. It started off a little sincere. I was like, man, Mick is coming from a good place today. No, those wheels fell off real quick.
Yeah, I got my villain beard on, so
that is very villain.
I mean, and like to my credit, to my point, I guess I'll just throw that out there as a disclaimer before we kind of get going. I do believe if the Montreal Canadiens win, this is kind of a joke Stanley Cup, right? Like you look at it, it's kind of fluky. I don't know if it needs to get the credit. I don't know if the Marc Bergevins, of the world did the best job that they could to get them there. On the other hand, I do believe this is a legitimate Stanley Cup for the man, Carey Price. He is leading this team, the nation, back to the glory land for the first time in over 20 years. And I do think he deserves all the full credit in the world. So if that makes sense, like I would give Carey Price all the credit in the world. The organization and the management of the team, I don't believe deserves it. That's kind of where I'm at.
Man, that's straddling a very fine line. I, on the other hand, and I have been talking about this so much so since the start of the season, that you started a sarcastic fantasy pool to show me that the Montreal Canadiens weren't as good as I thought they were. However, I'm going to, and You could read the articles online. I have liked Montreal from the get-go. In fact, I am holding Montreal futures at 35-1. And I believe that the off-season acquisitions, as outlined, Joel Edmundson has been outstanding. Low-key, second pairing option. Or no, he plays on the first line. Like Joel Edmundson, so Shea Weber and Jeff Petrie get all the credit, and maybe rightfully so. But Joel Edmundson has come in and he has solidified that entire defensive core by making them legitimate, like giving them a legitimate top four grouping. Or maybe it's Ben Sherratt. I don't even know. I think it's Ben Sherratt, Weber, and then Petrie Edmundson. Is that correct? I don't know. Maybe I'm off on that. Anyways, all four of them have been great. And yeah, but you did touch on you glossed over a very important point, and I think we should touch on it a little bit more. What the fuck is Peter DeBoer doing with his goaltenders throughout this series? Like, when they put, was it game 5? I was like, when Marc-Andre was in net, I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, you just yanked him for a somewhat valid reason. Like, that was, he had 3 consecutive games where it was, I think, a save percentage in the 80s. Whether it's high 80s or low 80s, fuck you, it's in the 80s. Like, it's maybe time to cut the cord with him, and then he gets the start again. I actually couldn't watch that game. I don't think it was on I was playing Slope. I can't remember. I don't think it was on CBC that night.
Okay.
And then there were 3 kind of reasonable goals, but nevertheless, like, it just it messes with the team, it messes with the goalies, and then to flip flop through the last 4 games of the series just made no sense.
Well, and I think we've seen that them. I mean, granted, they're a 4-year-old franchise, and they're seeing playoff misery. You know, the first kind of 4 years of existence. I mean, most people should want to take that, right? But yeah, like, it almost kind of goes to that you need that alpha in net, right? Like, you need that big dog. These tandem systems, yes, are cute, but I don't know if they're going to get you anywhere, right? And it kind of bails you out. I don't understand it whatsoever. I think Fleury looked like he was playing all world. Yeah, he had a stumble, he had a slip up, he had a bad pass in that game before. It was game 4 or something like that. But like you got to roll with the guy that brought you there, right? Like, does Robert Lehner, he looked like he did not have the confidence. He looked shaky when he was making saves against this Montreal offense, which, I mean, I guess is one of the best in the league. But like, he didn't look confident kind of throughout the process, at least in my opinion. So, like, why would, I don't know, I don't understand. I just don't understand it. It's the, at some point I saw the Fleury getting stabbed with the falling on the sword meme, right? Like, he's gone. He has to be gone this offseason. I guess that's who's going in the expansion draft again, right? Like,
okay, yeah, that's exactly where I wanted this conversation to lead. So, way to be a mind reader. Is he absolutely gone?
I think you do. Like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the list, but I would think just based on how things have been handled, it seemed like he was kind of out the door last year. There was kind of a bit of relationship between the agent Fleury and the Knights, and there was a bit of a divide. It looked like it was patched up. He was playing much better. He looked like he was potentially like a Vezina winner. He was helping this team kind of excel, perform, and then when it was needed most, they went to the other. Like, Lehner showed up for some reason, right? Like, I don't get it. I think Fleury is definitely the better goalie, and if they wanted him, they probably should have moved Lehner, right? To kind of give him that kind of that nod, this, you're our horse in this race. So, I mean, at that point, for $7 million, how much money does he have left on that contract? Couple years?
I'll double check that. But you're kind of dancing around one of the things that I've recognized, and it has nothing to do with the goaltenders. It has everything to do with coaching. And I know that this was said on the broadcast, and everybody's fucking hung on to it. Everybody says, oh, this is on DeBoer, this is on DeBoer, this is on DeBoer. Yes, this is a DeBoer decision. It is on DeBoer. However, what is lost in all of this is DeBoer's inability to win in the postseason. And what we've seen from him in the regular season is great. Sure, every time he coaches a team, the team does fantastic in the regular season. If I am GM of a team, last thing in hell I am looking for is a guy who consistently poops himself in the postseason. And fine, he made it to the Stanley Cup Finals with San Jose. What was that? 15, 16, something like that. It doesn't really matter unless you win it all. And there was a guy, so Barry Trotz kind of had a similar experience with his coaching, and that is it took him a while to break through. But I think we've given DeBoer a long enough time in the head coaching world where he is not a Barry Trotz where he is going to adapt. He is a Bruce Boudreau where he's going to fall flat on his face and never win anything. And I think it's time for teams to recognize this. I'm sure he's value added to any coaching staff, but stop letting him be in charge because he keeps fucking teams over.
Yeah. So, I mean, and on that note, I'm not a huge fan of throwing the coach under the bus, right? And I mean, you've heard that as soon as guys, it's what's the coaches do. As the YouTube viewers will see, I did pull up the John Cooper's resume. He has been in Tampa Bay since 2013. They reached the Cup Finals in 2015, and then they were pretty damn quiet. They were pretty damn quiet up until next year. So that was 7 years that guy grew, festered, helped that organization kind of grow into a championship contender. So sometimes you do need to give these guys runway, right? And I do think just based on the way that salaries are kind of structured in the NHL, it's easier to axe the head coach and try and shift things up rather than kind of keep the players accountable. And I do think that might just be a frailty of the NHL system, if that makes sense. So like if you look at, say, football, right? Some of those guys, some of those head coaches for some football teams are, like, look at Mike Tomlin. How long has that guy been with the Steelers? Over a decade, right? Like, when was he there? He's in the 2000s at some point, right? So I mean, he's going on,
say it was like 5, maybe,
right? And it gives you good product. He is the backbone of that organization. It's not an individual player, and the players are kind of, chopped liver, so they kind of move around a little bit more. So I mean, take that for what it's worth. I do think that the head coaches do kind of sometimes they fall on the swords. Not just Marc-Andre Fleury, but they also fall on the swords. So that's kind of that. But yeah, no, the Vegas Knights, they're squandering this, right? Like, I mean, I don't think Max Pacioretty is going to be looking better as he gets older at whatever it is, like his $7 million, and like Mark Stone looked like nothing special. Pietrangelo looked kind of just like a big body, right? Like, they're throwing a lot of money at these guys. I kind of feel like at some point it's going to kind of catch them, right? And they're squandering their opportunities majorly, so...
I know, like, this isn't to take anything away from Vegas or how they got to where they are here, but, like, let's not overlook, and I know that this is probably more applicable now that Seattle's starting the expansion drafts in like a month? Less than a month? The Vegas Golden Knights, as we see them, is not the expansion team that they drafted. And that is, they have done a lot to sign and trade for players, and that has complemented... Basically, I think they caught lightning in a bottle in year one with the group of players they had. And since then, and again, this is nothing against William Karlsson because he's still outstanding, but since then, they've become a more complete team. And you have the top line of Stone, like you have like a legit top six. Your defense was supposed to be better than anybody else's, but it was really, in this series, it came down to goaltending.
Yeah.
And not to belabor this point, but Marc-Andre Fleury, 1 year left on his contract. Vegas actually doesn't have to expose anybody, but they do have $12 million tied up between two goalies over next season. So I think we're going to see them move on from somebody.
Interesting indeed. Yes, that kind of wraps that up with the Tampa Bay winning a 1-0 affair from your boy Jan Gord. So I saw an interview in the game afterwards. Just want to throw it out there. The guy's delightful. He's been a little bit of a fan favorite on this podcast for a couple years. Jan Gord. I don't know where he made it into our lineups. At somewhere in some type of like fantasy world, he kind of came into our lives. I've never heard the guy talk before. He might be my new favorite hockey player. So
this was a T-Pain special too. Shorty! Because it was a shorthanded marker that led the Tampa Bay Lightning to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second consecutive year. Mick, on this podcast you have said it is extremely hard to repeat as Stanley Cup champions, let alone get there. How did Tampa get here?
I mean, we've seen it. We've talked about it for years. They built and drafted. I don't know if actually there was any trades. I think lots of these are homegrown talents or guys that they've just kind of found on the bargain bin, but they've built a hell of an organization. And again, my credit to management on this one. I don't know if I've credited any management before, but just from Steve Yzerman, the leadership that he installed and just that the foundation that he gave this organization is irreputable, right? Like, you've got this top to bottom. I don't know where most of these guys came from, but they're elite, right? The Kucherovs are drafts. Stamkos fell to them because they kind of sucked, right? The Victor Hedmans of the world, the Vasilevskis. It just basically, it's a solid backbone of the team that's been there, done that, and they're making the most of it. Now, they've played a lot of hockey in the last 12 months? 13 months? Because when was the playoff bubble last year? Wasn't it something goofy?
In September.
Yeah, it was like
ended at like end of September.
Yeah, it was like over the summer or something like that, right? So I mean, in the last 12 months, they've played a hell of a lot of hockey, right? Only a couple seasons off, and it's just kind of a war of attrition, right? Like, the guys they brought in do well. The Yanni Gourds of the world are now goal scorers. The Barclay Goudreaus are still contributing to this team, right? So they've identified talent, they've brought in the right people, and they give out some pretty good contracts too, right? That helps a lot. Kind of, like I said, I think lots of guys get hampered in this league. If you get a big contract, you're kind of just stuck, right? No one can move you. You kind of just end up as that old kind of curmudgeon in the corner of the locker room that brings a franchise down. But these guys don't necessarily have that just yet. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see. Can they repeat? I don't know. Maybe.
So there's two things that jump out at me right now, and you mentioned it on the podcast, if not last time, the time before. Nikita Kucherov should not have sat the entire season. Like, it's become it's evident as, I don't know, what's a good evident? It's clear as
rain on the skies? I don't know.
Were you going for an ass analogy again? Because I would respect the shit out of you if you were. Some, like, rain on ass analogy? No?
No.
All right. Well, nevertheless, it's clear. Clear as day. Nikita Kucherov did not need to sit the whole season. And this feels more like a cap circumvention thing than anything else. Because now, guess what? They have all these super talented players that they would not have been able to afford under normal circumstances playing for them. And this is the challenge that I have right now, is that the Tampa Bay Lightning are operating above efficiency levels, and it's going to happen. You're going to have these bursts, or you're going to have these periods where everything bumps up. But is this boost in their advanced metrics, because their PDO, which is a combination of save and shooting percentages, is higher than any postseason team in the last, as far back as natural stat trick goes. I think it was 2006, 2007, something like that. Now, they're operating, their goaltending, Vasilevsky's been outstanding. We've all seen that. Mm-hmm. Their offense is scoring, not at will, but when they need to, and they're above regular season metrics. And the sad thing is, and the part that I'm just like keep tripping over, that where I'm like, this is just like how they play because they've found this loophole, is that their shooting percentage is now kind of in line with last year. But it's not in line with the regular season, and that's going to be expected because Kucherov has missed this entire season, but he played last season, and obviously that's going to bring it up. So now, like, do we just have this super, like, ultra-efficient team that is almost unbeatable because they've got around the cap rules and brought in their star player in time for the postseason?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. And I mean, that is one of the more interesting stories, right, is the Kucherov, and just how villainized I feel like the Lightning have become against the Islanders. I feel like they were definitely playing the villain card a little bit more, depending which kind of markets you were listening to, right? It's a bit of a story, right? This circumvention that's going on. Should that be allowed? Do they have to readdress it? Potentially, right? Like, this might be addressed in the future, and this isn't a thing that is allowed to continue. Which is weird, because, like, in my mind, I don't know, I kind of feel like this Tampa Bay Lightning squad is very, like, has a lot of likable elements to it, right? Like, they were built by Steve Yzerman. John Cooper, like I mentioned, that guy's been established there. He's going on almost a decade, of coaching in one spot. And those things I don't think can be overshadowed, right? Just like those long established players, and lots of those players seem kind of like outside of me. I guess you could dislike Kucherov because, yeah, right, he probably could have played, and that's kind of a dick move. But who made that call, right? So maybe current management are the bad guys in this, right? The guys that were kind of cheating the system, but I don't know. This team has been on that precipice for years, and we're just kind of seeing it bubble over, right? So this might be the peak, and then we start seeing a drop off after this point.
Yeah, and if you want to look forward, so there was another thing I wanted to mention, but karma, but we'll get to that. And then looking forward, we won't see this team again. It's impossible for this team to exist in the regular season unless management has unless we get a Nancy Kerrigan situation where somebody gets right in the kneecap. Guess what? Stamkos, I'm sorry you're injured again, but guess what? You're going to win a third straight Stanley Cup next season.
It should be noted that they actually technically won the Stanley Cup last year without Steven Stamkos. So that's something to kind of keep in mind too, right? So he was hurt for most of it. I think he dressed maybe for the last game or something like that. He was definitely on the ice in his gear holding up the cup, but he didn't play on the ice. So this is almost kind of let's win one for the captain. We got ours last year, but he wasn't really a part of it. So there is that kind of that positive narrative to kind of go forward with it.
When did you start humping the Tampa Bay Lightning? This just came out of nowhere today, Mick. You caught me off guard with this. I love Tampa narrative.
I think it was last week. I think it was literally last Friday. I was sitting there in my head, and I was like, I kind of hate every single team. I just Vegas. No, you can't be a franchise for 4 years and win a Stanley Cup. I just don't like it. It can't happen. I was like, Montreal, I've got a whole bag of worms with them. If they burnt down, I wouldn't care. I'd be great. The Islanders, I don't know. Something about them just... I think Lou Lamoriello being there and having success, I don't enjoy that, right? So, really, it came down to, I was like, if I can get behind Tampa Bay and they can win, and I like them. Actually, you know what? I have a list, because I pulled a bunch of stuff from my old job, and I had this list where it was love, like, neutral, dislike, hate teams. Tampa Bay was the highest rated team. They were a like. So at some point, I was on record of saying I like the Tampa Bay Lightning, and actually hate the Montreal Canadiens. So that's kind of where I'm going with that one. And it's just kind of the narrative I built for myself too, right? I'm like, I don't know, I have nothing. Luke Schenn! They got Luke Schenn! How could you not love a team with Luke Schenn? Come on!
Well, I am going to say you do have good things coming, because you said if Montreal was burnt to the ground, you couldn't care less, basically. Guess what? If they win or lose, that city's getting burnt to the ground. It doesn't matter what happens.
Oh, Vancouver? Step aside. That ferocious riot that occurred when you guys lost, it'll be nothing compared to what Montreal does when they lose. So, you're welcome, Vancouver.
Yeah, poutine-fueled shenanigans, not a good idea.
Yeah.
And before we get to... Because it sounds like you've drawn this very clear line in the sand, and that is, you think that there's absolutely no way that Montreal wins this Stanley Cup. By the sounds of it, maybe.
I mean, I look at Tampa Bay as, they're a better version of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Toronto Maple Leafs were up 3-1 against the Canadiens, and then all of a sudden just this random thing happened where they won 7 games in a row, right? I think we're probably going to see closer to, and it would make the most logical sense in my mind, to see the Tampa Bay Lightning win the Stanley Cup at this point. So, maybe in 5 games, right?
That's my
gut feeling, heart, that's kind of where my head is. My wallet and bankroll might say something else, but that's just kind of off the cuff. That's kind of where I'm going with it. I mean, I'm also fucking horrendous with these things, absolutely atrocious. I've got a bunch of money on a Connor Hellebuck signed rookie card, thinking that when they won the Stanley Cup it was going to be worth something. No.
Well, those are calculated risks,
I guess.
But karma, we have to talk about karma, and I have 2 things that I have to say on this topic. And that is, Kucherov sat the entire year, and he got injured. And I know he played in Game 6, and we'll see how effective he is. He played 16 minutes. I don't even know, actually, if that's on par or above or below average for him. But I can't help but think that this is one of those things where it's like, here, you want to, be healthy for the last month of the season and not play? Well, guess what? Now you have to do the rest of the playoffs without Kucherov. I'm sure he'll play, but he's in tough against some hard-hitting Montreal defensemen. And the other thing, and this, I've said for years, and I think even a few times on the podcast, the universe loves to balance itself out. And this is me, trying to think, how has the universe already given Tampa Bay a favor? And I can't help but cycle back to 2004 when they beat the Calgary Flames in, I think it was 7 games, but it was game 6 that Javi Bulin had, or the Flames, who was it? Craig Conroy, maybe? I think it was Conroy. Anyway, somebody shot the puck. On review, it looked like it was kind of in the net. And in fact, to this day, I think it was probably in the net. But they didn't allow it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So now, the universe this year is going to balance itself out. And that is the triumph, the glory of winning the Stanley Cup that was ripped from the Calgary Flames in favor of the Montreal Canadiens or Tampa Bay Lightning is now going to be ripped from Tampa and given to the Montreal Canadiens. And you know what? This is exactly what Hockey Canada hockey coverage in Canada needs, because it will be talking points for years. This will be one. Montreal brought the Stanley Cup back to Canada. And I've said this on the podcast before. I've always thought they were going to be the team to do that.
Sure.
But more importantly, naysayers like yourself, Mick, will be able to hang on to this little nugget of truth to say, guess what? If whatever this hypothetical situation is that goes in Montreal's favor, that shouldn't go in their favor, is true, then that legitimizes that they are not actually Stanley Cup champions. And then it will be a full-on civil war in Canada to say, you know what, Montreal is or is not Stanley Cup champions.
Oh, I do think that the discourse, like you said, coming out either way, because it's one of those things, I mean, I'm going to be glad for Carey Price, but then, I kind of go down the list, and I'm like, there's no one really else in Montreal I even want to see win, I guess Weber, right? He's been around for a while, but then after that, I'm like, Perry's got a cup, Stahl's got a cup. None of these young guys, I don't think any of the young guys in Montreal have earned it, right? You think Brendan Gallagher really has earned a Stanley Cup? He's put in his time and effort, and you're going to be like, glad he got one. I just don't see those things, right? And those are kind of those narratives I'm kind of missing, where I'm like, I don't know.
I would say, okay, you have to flip a coin. Heads is Brad Marchand, and I know it's not going to happen this year. Brad Marchand on one side of the coin, Brendan Gallagher on the other side of the coin. You have to choose one, Mick. This is a dichotomy.
It's gone.
We had our moment. Flew too close. Who would you rather see win the Stanley Cup? Brad Marchand or Brendan Gallagher? Because I feel like they're cut from the same cloth.
I think I like Brad Marchand. It's kind of funny. Remember that time you took the soul out of the Vancouver Canucks and he ripped it away and he was yelling and jumping into the glass and caused a whole city to run? I like that, that's cool.
Man, this villain bearded Mick is just here for anarchy. Oh, you're out for blood today.
I was at the start of Game 6. I was like, I just can't handle Montreal going to I was like, no, you know what's better? Montreal getting to the finals, getting close, and then victory getting taken away from them, because it breaks the Montreal fans' hearts even more. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I kind of want to buy you a one-way ticket to Montreal. But you have to go with a cape. If you're going to be a villain, I want a villain cape and the mustachio villain. The
meme of me sitting with the screen behind me, just sitting there, just watching the chaos. I'm just gonna be like the Joker in the Dark Knight. I'm just gonna revel in the anarchy of it all. So
it would be a meme. NFTs are taking off. We could own this meme. If I took the picture, this could be a meme that people would pay billions. I would assume at least billions.
That's it. So
one non-fungible token, I think, of just Mick behind the sea of anarchy that he deliberately called prior to the Stanley Cup Finals.
He's just loving life. the one guy in the lone Leafs jersey just in the streets just being like, thank you, hockey gods.
Well, you know what? Maybe we'll win some money and make this happen. Or maybe we have a generous angel donor who would just like to see it happen. You know what? We'll cut you in on the NFT token.
There you go. Cool, yo. Yeah, so that's that. That wraps up all those things. I mean, unless you have something else? Something else? Headline related? Hockey related?
No.
I mean,
I don't want to turn back after we got all fucking excited about this Stanley Cup Finals. Maybe there was some stuff I wanted to yell about on the internet, but it doesn't matter anymore. Now I'm just ready for Game 1.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, the fact that we're on here talking about hockey, you almost lost me when the Raptors moved from 7 to 4 in the draft lottery on Monday. I was like, out! Done with this hockey! Out! I'm like, I'm just going to go watch some highlights for the next couple weeks and just dream about that. Or like...
Sink it all into Top Shot. I hope I get a Ken Birch dunk in here.
Come on. So with that, we can move on to our fan duel lineup. I believe the section is called My Dirty Fantasy. Pull that.
I honestly have to say, we are approaching the end of our podcast season. That kind of makes me sad, a little bit happy, because I'm kind of looking forward to not being hungover talking about hockey in the morning, Saturday mornings. However, I love this iteration of our My Dirty Fantasy segment. Like, this was by far the most fun I've had with it in the 5 years we've done this. So expect more of this next season.
Awesome. Good. I agree 100%. That's a good show note on the show. Because I'm like, the ones in the past, like we've ran pools. They never really gained traction. We've tried like head-to-head matchups. This is better. This is a better version. There's money involved. And then we don't have to do math afterwards. Like, before we'd, like, make lineups, we'd have to go back and, like, retroactively, like, add in the lineup. Like, oh, you beat me. There's no consequence there. No one learns from that. People learn from this. So.
We've learned from this, because, like, we have started and learned a few hard lessons along the way. It's ups and downs for me still, but I would say overall, I have come a long ways.
I was batting 0% for whatever. Like, I've had this account now for 5 years, and any time I dove into the hockey world, just lost money. It was basically just donations. I think I've actually made money, like maybe not much, like $5 or something like that, but I play in $1 pools. So I mean, a 500 times increase in my bankroll. It's not terrible.
Yeah, rely on those percentages.
Yeah, that's how we do. So we've got a game for Monday's affair. 5 players, 1 captain. I don't know how much salary cap you have, but going to look like something like this. I'll start off, hit lead off. So on my screen, you can see I got Braden Point 1.5 times. He's on a bit of a historic run. He had something like a 9-game point streak or something like that in the playoffs. It surpassed. He's an elite talent. I think there was one guy, some flyer or something like that, had like a 10-point in front of him. So he's playing incredible hockey. So, I mean, at that point, you got to give it to the poor little guy. He's my captain at 1.5 times the points for $1,500. Other than that, I went a little bit of a mix. I went kind of big bodies, like we were mentioning before. I don't think, off the podcast before we started recording, not got a lot of scoring, so I kind of went more physical guys. I got Tyler Toffoli at $3,500, and then I got some bangers. I got Josh Anderson at $8,000. He might do something. Barclay Goodrow at $6,500. It's a funny name, so I like him on my squad. And Victor Hedman on the tail end at 11.5. So,
yeah, and Mick lifted the curtain a little bit there, and we basically said this is going to be 7-1-0 series. So there's going to be a lot of value added to your rosters by getting those people who do a little bit of everything. That is hits, block shots, even just getting shots on net is going to be a huge part of FanDuel lineups. And to answer your question, it's $55,000. So on average, it's an average of $11,000 per player. You know what? I'm not afraid to say this out loud, but I believe in the Montreal Canadiens. And I believe so much that I have 3 Habs players on my FanDuel roster for Game 1. My captain is going to surprise all of you. I'm okay with that. I have Jeff Petrie as my captain. 1.5 points, $11,000 salary. Hits, block shots, power play time. This feels like if if you're going to beat a goalie, it's going to be on some garbage, like, don't expect it type play. I think it's going to come from Jeff Petrie, and I believe in him. So I paired him with Cole Caulfield, who just seems to do everything right. If this game goes to overtime, then he's going to be involved in the overtime scoring somehow. And Tyler Toffoli, 13-5, similar to you. Big body presence, does everything. He's been a little cool. Yeah, I might change this because he has been a little cold this postseason, but and it bothers me that we both have him. I'd rather us have, like when you said Josh Anderson, I got really excited. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I should get Josh Anderson. So I might ditch Tyler Toffoli. That's going to leave me a ton of salary, but I don't know if I'm going to do anything with it. As far as players go, Nikita Kucherov continues to lead the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that is, I mean, skaters, not just like. Basically, I'm trying to exclude Vasilevsky from the conversation. Kucherov has been the best player. 18.4 FanDuel fantasy points per game, leading the postseason in scoring, 14,000. I get Braden Point's a talent, but Kucherov being priced less than him doesn't really make sense. I get health's an issue. Fuck it, I'm still going Kucherov. And Tyler Johnson, 6,500. Like, I remember, I have all these vivid memories, and maybe they're misplaced memories, but like, Tyler Johnson steps up in the postseason. Like, he's a guy who does it, and for $6,500, if this goes to overtime and it gets in, the game goes in favor of the Lightning, I bet you it's because Tyler Johnson scores the overtime winners. So that's my lineup. I'm not sold on Tyler Toffoli. That might change. Right. So 4 out of 5 for sure. Maybe I'll leave Toffoli. We'll see.
Yeah, it is one of those things. I mean, it's so small and you have so much money. You could tinker till your brain explodes, right? You're like, oh, try these different permutations, right? And if you're going to settle on something, just be comfortable with where you settle, right? Like, be confident with that, and don't leave those kind of like those what ifs on the table, right? Play around with it.
The complex I have is like I feel like I always have to spend all my salary, like this whole entire salary. So I'm like, but like if this is the best lineup and I have $5,000 extra, like fuck it, like so be it. Yep. Yeah, you know what? I just talked myself into it. So long, Tyler Toffoli. Welcome, Josh Anderson.
Cool, sweet, y'all. So that's that. We'll see. History. How did we do last week? Oh, I lost. I got 20th. Oh, boo.
Yeah, I think I went all in with the Islanders and it didn't go well. Let me double check my history as well, but I don't think it was good either.
Look at that. Travis Zajac. You son of a bitch. Everything else looked good. Matthew Barzal, 13 points. Kucherov, 16. Braden Point. And then Uncle Leo and Travis Zajac with 3 points each. Boo. I kind of feel like that wasn't a high-scoring affair, though. Do I remember that correctly?
I was way off. So a tournament I was in, 153 was the winning score. Oh, your old pal G-Rant had 45.8 good points. Matthew Barzal, my captain, recorded 0.
It's not bad. If you
record 0?
If you look at the screen, I was only off by 2 points from getting my money back. So actually, I wasn't terrible. But like I said, I don't think it was a high-scoring affair. Yeah, it was 3-2. So it's kind of tough unless you have the goal scorers, right?
I must be looking at the wrong one then, because this was the 8-0 game, according to my history.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that you might have played one during the week or something like that. The one I have for the show last week. Because Barzal got 13.3 points. That should have been right. Huge point. Pellick apparently was the answer with 24 points. How? A shot, 2 assists. Okay. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, you're right. I was looking at the Monday game.
Okay.
Fuck me, right?
Well, makes sense that like if FanDuel gave you 0 points for Matthew Barzal, they actually just don't like you.
20.4. He did all right. Okay. I guess Jean-Gabriel Pajot, Travis Zajac, Jordan Eberle all fisted me. Yeah. Fuck you guys. Yeah. I believed in you Islanders.
And now he believes in the Canadians.
I can't see how the Lightning can continue to overachieve like this.
Oh,
and
I get that too. I'm like, look, like there's so many things. They won last year. It's so hard to repeat. The first cup they ever won, they beat the Flames, right? Like, are they really going to take the cup away from Canada twice? But I don't know. That's where my heart is. We already went through that. So like, I almost wish there was that. I don't even who would be like a reclamation project or something like that. You know, like if this was the year that for some reason they had Ilya Kovalchuk on their roster or something like that, I could get get behind like seeing a Kovalchuk win the cup, right? And I think that's kind of what I'm missing with this, is there's not really that weird piece that I'm looking for. Like I guess I'm looking for Stamkos to win the cup. Yes, he won it last year, but he wasn't on you know what I mean? Like he wasn't on the ice. So like that's what I'm kind of cheering for, is go Steven Stamkos. So
all right. Well, you know what? We're gonna have an answer to this in 7 games or less. So
that's it. Next week we won't know, but we'll have a pretty good idea of where it's going and go from there. So Bettor Advice? Do we want to do a Bettor Advice segment? I think I won money last week. What did I have? I had a parlay, right?
I don't know. It's all blurring together for me. But, yeah, I don't know.
I think I had someone who was like the Islanders plus 1.5 parlayed with...
Oh, yeah, it was Vegas. You had Vegas, and Vegas ended up winning the next night. You're right. You did win. You won 121. And I had the Islanders that night, and I was up. It was 70 to win, 79 plus an overtime wager.
Okay.
So I was up. What is that? Yeah, we both won money last week. You were more successful though.
So like I must be up something, because I don't think I've had I've had a losing week in the postseason. So
I don't think you have either. Like you've been stringing together wins here. So
like if I win, like I'll win a $50 like 200 parlay or something, or 200 underdog, and then like that'll give me $100 back or something. So I think I'm always just like limping along. So there you go. Look at that. If you would have followed me, you'd be up a little bit of money.
That's big victory in the playoff. Big victory.
Yeah, just don't follow me during the week when I'm like on these terrible gambling losing streaks. I'm just spiraling, and I'm walking around work just being like, what the fuck am I gonna do? How much money do I have to bet on the Cincinnati Reds to fucking break even tonight? Come on.
Playoff Mick is the best version of you.
Yeah.
Playoff Mick is here to win.
And then when I do win, I'm always like, I'm a self-hating gambler. And then I'm just like, why didn't I fucking bet more?
Well, I heard a very important piece of advice many years ago, and you'd rather have a piece than none at all. So
yeah, fair enough. Cool. So with that, 100 theoretical dollars. We've been gambling every week. If you're new to the experience of listening to us talk, that's kind of what we were doing. I think we were pretty even on the regular season and the postseason. I think at least I'm even, maybe a little bit more. We're not sure where Grant is. Do it this week. Futures? Do you want to just throw it all down on futures?
I don't know. I've been debating. So I have 2 wagers that I'm really sincerely looking at, and this is wagers for myself and real life, our podcast and real life. One of which that just jumps off the page at me is under 5, and again it's a flat 5, but under 5 is plus 106, and I'm really debating making a substantial play on this. And podcast wise, I don't know if I should just let it. I feel like I'd be doing myself a disservice by not taking a futures wager, because albeit it's an inefficient market, but I do love getting myself a futures wager from time to time. So it's Montreal Canadiens on the series line at plus 220, or it is under 5 at plus 106, and I'm just debating how I'm gonna structure those wagers. So let's hear what you got.
I am pulling up. So sorry, that's interesting. What's the series prices on Montreal?
So 260 for the Lightning, 220 for the Canadiens.
All right, so I just pulled up the Conn Smythe Trophy odds, right? If you can find a sports book that will take these bets, it's Carey Price. If Montreal wins, it's Carey Price. He's plus 130. Hell, depending how far this goes, it might be him regardless, right? So that's interesting. There's not a lot of money there. And then Cooch and Point are both at 300. If I'm going to do 2 future bets, because I feel like Kucherov is going to continue to lead this team in scoring, and they're going to reward him for that. So for plus $300, Kucherov, Conn Smythe, $50, and then $50 on Montreal to win the series? Give me some plus money either way.
That's an interesting hedge. I like where your head's at. Not obviously directly correlated, but I could see how both of those, like, it's a kind of one or the other type proposition.
Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Like, unless it is that, like, that JJ Jaguar situation where Price just is all world and, like, they're losing 1-0 affairs and they're getting peppered by 60 shots a game kind of thing. Like, maybe they give it to Price, but I also think that we're not cute enough for that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you know what? Like, I was just pulling it up. I couldn't remember. It was Hedman who won it last year, so it's not like it's going to be Cooch 2 years in a row. And the guy has, what, nearly 30 points through 18 games? Mm-hmm. So if the Lightning win the Cup, I would say you're probably almost assuredly it's going to Nikita Kucherov, unless things fucking get derailed here in the postseason or in the finals, and he can't play any of the last 7 games, which probably isn't likely. So
yeah. Well, he's got a 7-point cushion on Point, right? So, I mean, I guess Point could have multiple goal games or something like that and surpass him. But then, even then, like, I think that's probably unlikely. So, yeah, those are my plays I'm going to do. So, those are go from there.
All right. I am going to do...
2-0 Denmark. Yeah, good job, me.
2-0?
2-0.
All right, well, did you see the Christian Eriksen incident?
No.
Did we talk about this last week?
No.
So a guy collapsed. He made a pass and just collapsed, and then he had to be revived on the field.
Oh, like that first game of the tournament.
Yeah.
That I was fucking bemoaning because it wrecked my parlay.
Oh, yeah. I guess we did touch on this a little bit. Anyways, I hope for good things for Denmark. I don't know how long they can ride this streak because the competition's going to get a little nastier, but
yeah.
I'm rooting for Denmark. I have this small piece of me that's hoping for good things for them in this tournament. So, but getting back to Bettor Advice, I'm going to do a 70-30 split. So that is $70 on under 5 at plus 106 and $30 on Montreal to win the series at plus 220. I wanted 2 series ago, and this is after the opening round. I was hoping that Conn Smythe wagering would open, but it didn't on the book that I use. But I was assuming that Carey Price would have been in like the 20 range at that point, because not only like at that stage it's like, well, you got to get past Winnipeg, you got to get past whoever wins the Vegas series, and then you have to win the Stanley Cup. Like, it just seemed like at least 20-1, but It didn't open. I missed it, and then when I saw it opened last round, and he was like +4 or something like that, I was like, fuck that. Like, I can't take Carey. Like, I was expecting more value than that. But I wish that there was a preseason market where I could have got him in something like that, because I believed in. I have believed in the Montreal Canadiens, and that belief is unwaning. Plus 220, $30. Under 5 in game 1. Obviously not directly attached to the Canadiens, but for another 70.
$20 less than I bet, and you believe more than me, so... But I'm emotionally hedging. Like I said, I'm doing a lot from this guy right now, and like I need to get some money back to like make up for it. Although the Euros really help. Like those couple days when the Euros just weren't a thing, and that last day when there was a bunch of draws and stuff. But really doesn't like the bankroll. So hopefully this weekend things start kind of turning in the right direction.
Your advice, though, a couple weeks inspired me, and that is, like, just parlay all the favorites. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to take Vic's advice on this. Like, up until that last day of the tournament, it was pretty much just a favorites tournament, and that is favorite over favorite over favorite.
Well,
so
Denmark was a, 1.8 favorite or something, and then I've got Italy. I just parlayed them together, so for $10, I'm like, it's a plus 200 ticket. And I'm like, well, I mean, worst case, Denmark blows it. You just throw a bunch of money on Italy, right? Because like they're a prohibitive favorite, and you just kind of hedge that way. So,
yeah, just a tiny glimpse of the train of thought that runs through Nick's head.
Now, granted, I freaking hate just throwing money on like favorites, because when you see that one upset happen, like the other night, I think I was told or heard somewhere like Bucks. Well, then the Hawks won, and the Hawks were like plus 300 or something. And I'm like, even if the game's close at the end, like sometimes my sports book will do buyouts. Like they'll buy your ticket from you. So even if like it's close and you're looking at like getting 3-4 times your money, like they might give you just double your money to walk away and like stress free. So I've done that for like early cash outs. I've been like, okay, double up. I don't know.
Why not, hey?
Anyways,
that is fucky.
Yeah, but the Euros, because there's such a discrepancy, I don't hate the just heavy ride the favorites. Sometimes good things happen. So
yeah. I was going to say something, but it escapes me now. Oh, yeah. No, it was Hawks. Like, how did the Hawks get past the Bucks in Game 7?
In Game 1. You're thinking Hawks over Sixers.
Sorry, how did they get past the Sixers in Game 7?
Ben Simmons decided he can't shoot the ball. Joel Embiid is just continually out of shape. And Trae Young is just, I don't know.
He has embraced villain. Because, what was it the shimmy before the shot?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, I'm trying to do a Trae Young thing with the jersey and the goatee, but he's, like, full wrestling heel kind of thing, you know? Like, he's going to be smashing coconuts over people's heads soon, so.
Oh, God, I wish I got that reference.
Yeah, Google it. Google, Rowdy Roddy Piper coconuts, and you'll be like, oh, that's culturally insensitive. All right, but, as talked about at the start of the show, we got a game. We played Canada Puck Jeopardy last week. We had visual effects. Grant lost. So, those are things.
Yeah, I was ashamed. I'm ashamed.
I did not. I was looking at some trivia. Trivia got really tough, and I didn't want to make up my own trivia. So we're going to play a new game. In honor of Pride Month, we are going to play the first ever edition, and maybe this might be a continuing thing. We don't know. The Canada Puck Rainbow Bracket Challenge. What I've got on the screen is a really ugly-looking spreadsheet. Every correct answer you get, we're going to add a color. And you win when the rainbow is complete. So essentially you're looking for 7 answers in a row. When you lose one, it comes down. If you do not fill up the whole rainbow before the contest is over, you also lose. But you notice it was called the Bracket Challenge? Because I want to test your knowledge. You've been following hockey this year. I'm sure you followed hockey last year in the bubble. Can you tell me the exact results, specifically who won each series in the 2020 NHL playoff bracket?
So starting with the play-in round, like before the typical 16?
No, we'll do the first, like, round of 16.
Starting round of 16. Oh, God. All right, so if we work backwards...
I can give you the contestants, and you just tell me the winner. That works?
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Okay, so I think at the top here I see... Oh, it's like a really bad picture that I can find of this. The Vegas Knights versus the Chicago Blackhawks.
Vegas beat Chicago in 4 games? Do I have to give you the number of games?
You can try. I don't know if it actually says on this little thing. So, okay, how about Colorado versus the Coyotes?
Colorado got past them in 6 games. Or no, that one went the full 7, I think.
Full 7, he thinks. I need more colors. Yay! Yeah, that's like kind of an indigo. All right, so we got violet and indigo. So 2 to go. You're trying to fill up that whole rainbow. This one's going to be tough. The Dallas Stars versus the Calgary Flames.
Dallas won in 5 games, I believe.
Nice. Nice, look at that. We got nice blue on the screen. How about the Vancouver Canucks and the St. Louis Blues?
St. Louis won.
Ooh, that is unfortunate.
Oh, no! Oh.
Look at this nice blue that we now have to... So see this? Oh, no. Now it's back to just nothing. So we're just the 2 bottom rungs.
Oh, man. Yeah, never mind.
All right. Let's go to the east side of the finals. We've got the Montreal Canadiens playing the Philadelphia Flyers.
Philadelphia beat them thanks to... It was basically all Carter Hart, that series. I think it wasn't long. It was 5 or 6 games. It didn't go the distance. I remember that much.
Yeah, I wish I would have found like a better little pic. Anyways, better picture, but we'll go with that. How about the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Columbus Blue Jackets?
I better not fuck this one up. This one, I think this one went 5 because Columbus split one of the first 2 in Tampa, I believe, but then Tampa came back to just wipe them out. So
nice. All right. How about the Washington Capitals versus the New York Islanders?
The Islanders won. And that was sweet, sweet revenge for Barry Trotz.
It's not bad. It's not bad. So we're up to yellow. We only need 2 more, and then we've got the Canada Puck Rainbow Bracket Challenge is complete. Can Grant do it? The Boston Bruins versus the Carolina Hurricanes.
Oh, man. I'm less confident on this one. But I'm pretty sure it was Carolina who moved past Boston.
That's awkward. We have to take away the yellow.
Ah! Damn it.
So awkward. All right, so this next one, you're definitely going to... It's going to be Phil. It's self-explanatory at this point. Let's start with the easy one. The Vegas Knights versus the Vancouver Canucks.
Vancouver Canucks won.
Well, that's really awkward because it was definitely the Vegas Knights.
Damn it.
All right. And then we've got the Colorado Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars.
Dallas Stars won.
All right, so let's bring that nice green back up. Look at that. We're getting there. How about we got the Philadelphia Flyers versus the New York Islanders?
It was the Islanders.
Oh, Grant knows this now. Like, you can see that little smirk on his face. He definitely knows what's up. All right. The Lightning versus the Boston Bruins?
Better not fuck this one up. It was definitely the Lightning.
It was definitely the Lightning. All right, so we got nice orange. There we go. One more color to go. Oh, this is. I think you licked it. You want to run the table? So we got Vegas and Dallas on one side. We got the Islanders and Lightning. Can you name the next 3 winners?
I better be able to. We're going Dallas. We're going Tampa. We're going Tampa.
Woo! Let's fucking fill it.
That feels good.
Let's do it. Let's fill it up. Boom. There you go. Honor of Pride Month. Grant filled up the rainbow. Boom. I bet you if I went back a couple years, you'd be so lost.
You know what? Bring it on. Playoffs and you know what? I'll be embarrassed on the internet again. I don't fucking care.
All right. This might be a thing. And in the future, maybe I'll bring up other random ones. Oh, does this one work? I just want a nice picture. Oh yeah, that one works. This didn't even show us this. Oh yeah. Oh, that's beauty. All right, we're gonna go to the 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs. Same idea. Start at the top. We've got the Dallas Stars playing the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, you're right. I am completely lost. Let's see here. I think I have this inkling it's Nashville, but I'm less confident.
That's your answer. I'm going to give you an X. That's your first X. There's no colors in there. We can't take anything away. First strike. That's too bad. How about the St. Louis Blues playing the Winnipeg Jets?
St. Louis won.
St. Louis won. So we're going to give ourselves... Oh, no. I got to find... Oh, no. Indigo was a tough one to figure out. So not a fan of having to redo that one. How about the Colorado Avalanche versus the Calgary Flames?
Colorado won that one.
They did win that one.
That was somewhat convincingly, too. I think that was a 4-game sweep.
Something like that. Oh, that indigo and violet look awfully similar. So, sorry if there's any, rainbow aficionados. And if you actually see, I had to write out Roy G. Biv on the side of them, so I knew which color to fill in each one. So, how about the San Jose Sharks versus the Vegas Knights?
Vegas won. Oh, no, they lost in Game 7. I take that back. Or wait, fuck.
No, you were right and right again. So I definitely thought Vegas won, even though I'm looking and seeing the Sharks advanced. So we have to take away a color. We have to take away indigo. I hate indigo. God damn it. All right. How about on the other side? We've got the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Columbus shocked them that round.
They did, in fact, shock them. Oh, recent. What's this? Is that? Oh, look at that. Got my indigo back. How about the Boston Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs?
This answer has answered itself for the last 12 years or so. So I'm going Boston.
Okay, how about the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Washington Capitals?
This was the Hurricanes' deep run. It was the Carolina Hurricanes.
All right. And the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Oh, man. I think it's been a few years of struggle, so I'm going to say Islanders on this one. I don't think Pittsburgh's had a good run.
They've had a bit of a struggle. All right, so now we got the Dallas Stars taking on the St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis.
Oh my goodness, look at that. We're already at orange. Already at orange. How about the Colorado Avalanche versus the San Jose Sharks?
This one was San Jose, I'm confident.
He did it. He filled the rainbow up. Boo, 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 boo. Can you get the other ones? Boston, Columbus?
So this was Boston, Carolina semis in the East, and then it was St. Louis over Boston in the final.
Yay. All right, well done. So there you go. That's our end game of the week.
But it's not officially over until we offer up our Canada Puck podcast Babe of the Week. I'm going to... Oh, man, this one has way more than I thought she did. You know what? That's okay. 160,000 people can't be wrong on the internet. So, our Babe of the Week is Foxy Ashlyn. Foxy, Foxy, Ashlyn, Ashlynn. Fitness model, business guru, 21 Heart Fitness. Ashlyn is just a little bit all right. She is our Babe of the Week.
Schwing!
Schwing!
Yeah, good for her. Good for her. Nice. Yeah, well done. There we go. So, it's good. Canada Day weekend next weekend. So, coming at that. You around on Saturday?
I should be.
Me too.
Might be playing some slow pitch tournament, but I should be able to make it work on Saturday.
Right.
We'll be in touch, though. The thing that bothers me, and we lamented at length before we hit record, no Saturday games in the Stanley Cup playoffs this postseason. I don't know what kind of bath salts Gary Bettman's on, but how in the sweet fuck, with a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup Finals for the first time in, 10 years?
Yeah.
Do we not have a Saturday playoff game? This narrative wrote itself, and they missed the boat entirely.
Well, that's because the Leafs play on Saturday, and Montreal kind of gets skirted around them because they're not the favorites. So we saw it again. Damn Leafisms.
Damn it. But nevertheless, we'll still have a good time recording. We will get people caught up. Do you think, all right, premonition, put your premonition cap on. Are we recording a meaningful podcast? Oh, yeah, because there's only 3 games. Yeah, you know what? You guys, lucky listeners, you get 2 more Canada Puck podcasts. 1 more mid-season or mid-series, and then 1 official wrap.
1 more. Well, we can guarantee 1 more podcast. Sometimes we don't do our recaps.
You know what? Yeah, that's true.
We're definitely going to be talking next week. You may never have the conclusion to the story, so...
But that's what keeps people coming back. It's worked this far.
Oh, it's going to be really bad if it's a Game 7, because it's like the Sunday, like we'll talk about the game, and then we'll just never come back and like talk about the results. It's like a really shitty cliffhanger to a show or something.
Well, something we can revisit in the fall.
Yeah, great. Awesome. So with that, party on, Grant!
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.